Okay, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about lists and tuples. We're going to say how to create a list, why create lists, why work with tuples, and what are the difference between lists and tuples. Okay. Most of the individual value we work with will take the form of one of the basic data type we've learned so far. But data analysis involves working with sets of related records that needs to be grouped together. This is where sequence or collection data types comes in. They allow you to own multiple data types in one object. So we basically have four data types, four collection data types that comes with the Python programming language. The first one is your list, which is ordered and changeable and sets of data that is also allows duplicate. We have your tuple, which is ordered and unchangeable. It allows duplicate as well. We have your set, which is an unordered, unchangeable, and unindexed data type and allows no duplicate. And lastly, we have your dictionary, which is also ordered, changeable, and it does not allow duplicate as well. So in this lesson, we'll learn how, in this lesson, we'll learn some of the basic data types we have in Python, and we're going to start with the list data type. So the list is used to store multiple items in a single variable. To group bunch of items together into a single variable. The list is mutable, meaning it can be changed. It's ordered, it's an ordered collection. It goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 and so on and so forth. Right? For example, you can add a new item to a list or remove a new item, which is why it's called mutable. Right? The list is heterogeneous, meaning it can take in as many objects or different data types of objects as possible. So to create a list is very, very simple. All you simply need to do is to use your square brackets followed by the item you want, 1, another item, 2, another item, 3, and each of the items is going to be separated by the comma. Okay, so when I run this up and I check the type, I'm going to get class list. Alternatively, you can create your list using the constructor, the list constructor, which is this symbol, followed by your open bracket, then the items you want inside of your list, and you've basically created your list from this list constructor. There are cases to use either of them, but I prefer to use this method since it's easier and quicker. It makes more sense. Just know it's a square bracket and you're good to go. Your list can also be an empty list, meaning there is no values or item inside of your list and it will still give us a good result. Okay, let's run this up and I get my list, and I can also print this as check the type for this. Check the type, open this up and check the type for this value. Okay. Okay, I did not complete this. Okay, yes. Let's do this. Okay. So it's also a list type. Even if it's empty, it is still a list. As long as the square bracket is there, is regarded as a list. Okay. So the beauty of a list is that it is not just ordered, it is not just changeable, and it does not just allow duplicate, but we can actually move around our list and get to find out how each of these items in our list can be changed or moved around or deleted completely. So let's go over and start manipulating our list a bit. But before doing that, we need to see in reality what types of data that can be passed into our list. So we have this example of apple, banana, cherry, and a bit of cherry. So remember, our list allows duplicate. So what do you think is going to happen here? It's definitely going to live in our cherry. We're going to have cherry multiple times. We can have the same value multiple times. And our list can take in any objects, any data type, right? We shall have apple, banana, cherry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and true, false, basically any data type. And you can have a mixture of all these data types into one. Our list can even take in another list. Let me have this right here. Let's say 1, comma, B, this could be, and run this. And I'm going to print this out. Let's see what I've got. 3 and another list. Tuple, this can basically take in any data type. That's all you need to know, right? So now back to what I was talking about. which we can access and modify our list. To do that is very simple. You need to have your list created first. Then you go to your list. You create an open bracket next to the name of the list. Create an open and close your square bracket. Then identify the value we want to change. Okay. So I'll say, okay, I want to access the second value. Remember, my list index starts from 0, 1, 2. Any indexing in Python programming, 99% of the time will start with 0. So with 2, and I got my sherry, which is 0, 1, 2. Also, it works like the way our string works, it works with negative indexing. So negative 1 will be sherry. Okay, let's go. And next one gives us sherry. We can also get the range like a substring. Okay, this will be starting from 0, 1, 2, cherry, all the way to this is 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we are going to get 1, 2, 3 without melon because it's going to move all the way to 5, but not include 5. Okay, basically the way our string work. Because I said string is also a sequence data type or a collection data type, but the string is a collection of characters and not items. Similarly, by leaving out the first character, we are going to start from the starting and get up to the last one. If I leave out the first and the last, I'm going to get everything inside of my list, right? Just do that. If I leave just this, I'm going to get up from the start to the fourth one, excluding the fourth index. So you can also work with negative indexing. This is what I want to show you here. So the way this works is, if I'm using negative indexing, I'm going to say, okay, -1, -2, -3, -4. I say, okay, it starts from -4, which is going to be orange, and go, is -5, -6, sorry, -3, -1, -2, -1. So I'm going to go orange, kiwi, melon, then mango is not going to be included because mango is the last one. Okay, so let's run this up and see what we've got. You can also check if an item, instead of using your membership operator, which is your in operator. Check if it's in and if it's not in, right? Using your not in operator combined with your if statement. Okay, and that's how my else say, okay, that's cool. Okay, that is cool. So basically, it's if Apple is not in this, basically Apple is in the list. So definitely this will return as false because Apple is in the list. Okay, so I'm going to just run this else instead. Okay, so the next part we want to get to is how to actually modify your list item. We know how to again access to our list item, now we have to modify it. And it's very simple. What you simply have to do is to access the item, then assign another item to it, another value to it. So we are accessing the first index, the index of one, which is banana, and we are going to change it to blackcurrant. And when we run this, that's apple, blackcurrant, and cherry. Okay. You can also change the item in a specific range. You can say, okay, this is 0, 1. So start from this one, you can go 1, 2, all the way to 3, which is going to be 1, 2, right? All the way to 3, excluding the third one, which is going to be apple, blackcurrant, watermelon, orange, kiwi, and banana. Sorry, mango. And in a situation where you insert more items in a particular set, what is going to happen is basically it's going to start from, okay, this is going to 0, going to start with banana, it's going to include blackcurrant and watermelon. Then this sharing is going to be shifted slightly by another index. So this will now go from 0, 1, 2 to 0, 1, then this watermelon, then the cherry, which is now going to be 3. Okay. And similarly, if you say, okay, work with 2, you specify, okay, this range, start from 1, then go all the way to 3, which is 0, 1, 2, then 3. It's going to take this, everything here, and squish it down into just this one, right? That's what this is, that's what's going to be done in the back end. Now, if you want to specifically specify where you want a new item to be inserted to, you can use the insert method, right? The insert method allows you to insert your item into a specific index, okay? Without having to use this other method that we have here. So there's more than one way to kill a bird, basically. You have the list. So okay, inside into this index 2, which is going to be 0, 1, 2. So share is now going to be watermelon 0, 1, 2. Okay, it's going to insert into 2, then it's going to now shift the sherry, right, to the next index. Okay, that's the way this one works. Then we have your append, which adds the new item to the back of the list. You have your extend, which combines 2 items or 2 lists together. It doesn't just work with lists, it works with any other collection data type. You can combine 2 lists, a list and a list and a string, a list and a tuple, a list and a set. So you can combine it with any other collection data type. See, combine with my lists, my sets, and my strings. And everything works perfectly. So to remove items from your list, you either use the remove, the pop, or the clear. Then there's also another one, which is your delete, which we'll get to find out how it works. So for the remove, what it simply does, you use the remove method with your list variable, followed by your remove method, followed by the item you want to remove, right? Okay. So if there are more than one of the item you're removing, it will remove just the first one. So let's run this. Run this. Banana is gone. Then run this again. The first banana it sees is going to remove it. Then for your pop, with pop, you can specify the index you want to be removed from. By default, if I don't specify the index, it removes the last item. Right? So if I do pop here, I'm going to remove the banana. But if I specify, okay, remove index 0, and run my pop, it's going to remove the first one, which is apple. Okay. So by default, it removes the last item that was added to the list. But if that is not the case, it's removed. And you specify, okay, remove the first, the third, any of the index you specify, it's going to remove that. Then the clear method simply removes every item from our list and makes our list an empty list. Okay. So let's run this and see what we've got. We have an empty list from the banana list. We're able to clear it out and get an empty list. So our delete also helps us to delete individual item, but most times you use it to delete the entire list from memory. Okay, this will delete individual items. You can delete apple, delete banana, delete a range of items, or you can say, okay, delete everything all at once. Okay, when I run this, it will show me this list is not defined, meaning I've deleted everything from my memory. Okay, so now we need to understand what are list comprehension. So list comprehension are often a way to create a new list based off the value of an already existing list. It's a shorter way to create a new list from the value of an already existing list. Let's use this as an example. So we have a list of fruits, for example, and we want to get all the fruits that has the A inside of it, that is spelled with an A. What do we have to do? First, we have to look over each of the fruits and check if they have the A as a character inside of them. And if they do, we want to append that to a new list, and then we might want to print the list out. So look at this. It takes up to, I think this is about 9 lines to get this job done. But with your list compression, I can say for each item in my fruits, right? Check if there's A in that item and print out the item if there's A. Okay, that's basically what this statement is. When I run this, I'll get the same result I'm going to get from it. So basically, I have compressed all of these lines into just a single line, and I'm getting the same equal result. So let's understand how the syntax works. So the first step is, the first thing to understand is that this one is your expression. That means this is what is going to come out when you run this operation. The next is your item and your iterable. That means the item, the list item or the iterable item, and sorry, the iterable collection and the item inside of that collection at that particular point in time. Then the condition that must be true for the expression to be outputted or to be returned. So the condition, this condition part is like the filter that only accepts the item that is evaluated to be true. If the item is not true, it will not allow the expression to be returned from this particular, for this particular list. Then the iterable is the collection object or the iterable object, like your list, your tuple, your even your string. Then the expression is the current item in the iteration, right? But it's also the outcome. That means what is going to be returned, right? Is what's going to be returned. This your collection, you can easily manipulate it before adding it to your new list. Okay, let's look at this. So we have our item, our iterable collection. Then now we have our expression. And this our expression is now being manipulated, right? In this fruit, if we rotate over this fruit, we have, I think it's apple, banana, cherry, kiwi, mango. We're going to get all of them. I think we did not add any condition. So you can have your list, the compression without the condition, but you must have your expression and your iterable item. What we are doing now, we are basically manipulating our expression on this part of it, not with the condition. So we are going to look over all the items here in our fruit, but we are not going to manipulate it. So this one is simply this, which is if our expression, the current item that we are working with, is not equal to banana, then just print it out, right? If it's not equal to banana, it's just going to be printed out. But if it's equals to banana, if it's equals to banana, that means this will now become true. So if this item, the current item is not equal to banana, just print the item out. But if it is, which means this becomes, okay, if it's true, okay, this now becomes false, right? For each of the item, like for apple, apple is not equal to banana, so it's true, print apple. Banana is equal to banana, so this becomes false, and automatically it gets to print out orange. So cherry is not equal to banana, which is true. Cherry equals banana. Is cherry not equal to banana? Yes, that's true. So print the expression kiwi not equal to banana, print the expression mango similar. But banana is equal to banana, which makes our statement that we are asking if banana is not equal to banana false. So print out the orange. So this simply means we can manipulate the expression, right? And change the value of that expression. Depends on what we want to do. You can see it's now apple, orange, cherry, kiwi. Now, and this is an assignment. So what is this? So for each of the item in this list, right? Now we are manipulating the expression as well. For each of the item in this list, give us the cube of it. Okay. Run this up and we get our item out. Okay, so when you're working with lists and you want to make a direct copy of a list, you cannot just assign the old list to the new list and expect it to be different, because lists are reference type data type, meaning the original values are stored in a particular place in memory and your list variable simply just points to those values, right? So if I were to reassign the reference to another variable, I'm simply just reassigning the reference, which all points down to the same value. They all point to the same value. So for you to make a copy of a list, that means it creates the new value and put it in another point or storage in memory, I will have to either use the dot copy method or I use the constructor method. So let's see how this works. So this is the list, right? This is the list, the first list. Then we will create a new copy of the list of this list to D list, right? And now we appended line to it. But when we try to print it out, this list, which we did not append anything to, we are going to get a weird thing, which is this list now is going to have the line that we appended to D list on it, which means both of these are connected, right? They are basically the same thing. But if we want to make a copy, if we go and make a copy of this list to my list, right? And if any adjustment I do to my list is no longer going to affect this list, okay? You can see when I created my list, I'm getting an added pair to my list. You can see apple, banana, cherry, lime, pear. But for this list, which was the original list, which I've already appended lime to, you can only see this value. So if you want to use an existing list to create a new list, you have to copy it. You don't just reassign and expect it to work. So the second way to do this is by using your list constructor, which actually creates a new list from that old list, which is basically what is going on behind the scene with this dot copy. Okay, so in list, we have other methods, right? Apart from dot copy, we have other methods. Apart from copy, append, pop, clear, other method, which you can go further and read. But these are the basic methods that we have for list. Okay. So in this next lesson, we are going to talk about tuples. So a tuple is also a collection data type, which is ordered, but in tuple is now unchangeable. You cannot change the values in the tuple. So items that you store in a tuple is basically items that do not change. For example, days in a week, they don't change unless you're going to add your own new day, which is most likely not going to be possible. But there are workarounds to change the value of the tuple, which we'll get to find out. So tuple item are ordered, unchangeable, and allows for duplicates. Tuple also starts from index 0 and moves to 1 and so on and so forth. To create a tuple, you use the parenthesis symbol followed by the items in your tuple. So if you understand how lists work, you basically understand how tuples work. You only need to know that the difference, which is tuple works, is created using the parenthesis, and it does not allow you to change it easily. So if you are creating a tuple with just one item, you have to put in this end comma for it to be recognized as a tuple. If not, it will be recognized as just an expression covered inside the parentheses. Okay. Like in your list, you can have multiple data types in your tuple and also a combination of other data types in your tuple. You create your tuple using your tuple constructor. To access item in the tuple is basically the same way you access item in your list. You just have to specify the index location of that particular item and you've gotten your item accessed. The only difference now is when you are modifying tuple, you have to go through a workaround, right? You can't just modify tuple the way you modify list because tuples are unchangeable. The first way you modify a tuple is to convert it to a list, then modify it. You can see this is my tuple. I had to convert it from tuple using the list constructor to a list, right? Then I did the modification and converted it back to a tuple. And see, I have the correct values here. The other way you can also modify or add items to your tuple is to add two tuples together. Since they are both unchangeable, they can be added together. So those are basically the two ways to modify your tuple, and you can also delete the entirety of your tuple from memory. That's the only thing you can do when it comes to modification of your tuple values. Okay. In Python, there are times where you would want to create a list of items and assign those items at once at the same time, right? So to do this, use your tuple to store the items or the variables for reassignment. Okay. So look at this variable. We have a tuple for person. And in this tuple, we have three items here, which are your name, your age, and your location. Okay. So if I want to reassign each of these items to a variable on its own, I use what is called tuple unpacking. I'll say the first item is name, comma, second item age, comma, third item city. It has to follow this particular order, right? Because the first one will be assigned to the first, second to the second, third to the third. And when I print this out, it's going to unpack my tuple into this variable. As you can see, this is what tuple unpacking is. And also, we can also nest item using this method, and we also unpack those items for us as well. So basically what's going on is the way your naming is when you are defining your variable is the way you are going to also unpack them too. When I run this, I'm going to unpack everything as that. So there might be situation where you want to unpack the first item, but you don't really care much about this one, or you just want to have this in a list. So that's where your asterisk comes in. It allows you to unpack just some set of items that are important and leave the other item in the list. So to unpack this data, we can say this one is the first, this two is the second, then the rest will now be stored inside of a list. So let's run this, and it gives us the same thing. Then the beauty of this, I can unpack this, and store the middle one in the list. I can basically unpack this, and store the rest in the list. So to do that is very simple. So I have my data and I say, okay, unpack the first one, unpack the last one, but leave everything in the middle in our list. Run this and it gives me my correct answer. I can do this for any way I want to do it, but make sure the one you want to use, you are unpacking them first. So like I said, you can combine two tuples together and they will basically extend themselves. That's how you join two tuples together. You can also multiply tuples, but I don't really see the reason why you would want to multiply your tuples, okay? But it's something that you could do. Now, we have some methods that will work with tuple, which are your counts. I will return the numbers of items a certain value occur. The number of times a certain value occur in your tuple. Your index, you pass in the item, then it returns the index location of that particular item. So to learn more about this method, you go to the link. And for now, we're done with learning how to use tuple, create a tuple, how to use list, create list, and how to manipulate and modify our list and tuple. So I'll see you in the next video. We'll talk about dictionaries and sets.